So we're in Queen Square, just off Southampton Row, Bloomsbury, on the edge of Bloomsbury. And I'll take you on a bit of a random night walk. Don't really know where we go or where we'll end up, but it'll be interesting to see what we find. I really like walking at night around central London, and I don't know, just the ambience changes, and you get these little sort of vignettes through the windows. Like, I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a string quartet, well, not a string quartet, it's like an orchestra playing behind me in that window. I walk back the other way and you feel that Dickensian spirit come out of the brickwork. You see De Quincey walking in the streets ahead of you in a opium daze. And Dickens was big on night walking. There's a great description of a night walk in the old Curiosity Shop across London. It's fantastic. See, look, this street here. Lamb's Conduit Street. I'm going to stick my neck out and say that there was a conduit that ran down here. No, but seriously, I think I looked it up and there's a conduit, and I think the bloke who owned it was called Lamb. No, seriously. This looks like it could be a fairly authentic old Victorian gaslight. I don't really know how to tell the difference. But the great London writer and illustrator Geoffrey Fletcher was really into things like this, little fragments of the old streetscape that was still left around. He would make lovely drawings about them and write them, and there are quite a few in this area. I think there's some on the other side of Theobald's Road. Geoffrey Fletcher's best known for writing The London Nobody Knows, but there's also loads of other little pamphlets by him, one called Offbeat London that I've got. It's worth looking out for them. And this is Dickens territory.
But you don't know about other people.
The Dickens Museum is not far from here. Should we go and have a look? Emerald Street, complete with cobblestones. If you can hear a rustling on the soundtrack, I've got a bag of books from the book warehouse. Emerald Court. Really beautiful little square at the end of Great James Street. Not a soul around. We're in the centre of one of the biggest cities in Europe. Samuel Taylor Coleridge also used to walk through here as well. I'm starting to think De Quincey and Coleridge must have been a lot of opium around. Cockpit Yard. The etymology sort of does it itself around here, doesn't it? A cockpit. That's not penises, you rude people. It's a variety of chicken. So there was obviously cockfighting down here, which was a really popular sport at one point in London. Yeah, so perhaps this is the old cockpit. Those helicopters you can hear, probably to do with the state opening of Parliament today. And it might mean it's kicking off down in Westminster. I've always liked this street because it's called John's Mews, obviously, but at the other end of it makes a junction with Roger Street, so walking down this street spells out my name. It's a lovely bit of Art Deco, is that the right word for it? Modernism, Art Deco, I always get those things confused. Anyway, I like that style of architecture. Sort of 40s, 50s. That is actually quite an interesting pub. Last time I was in there, 10 years ago. I'm very tempted to go in there right now. What shall I do? And there we go, Rogers Street. If you take the S off John's Street and stick it on the end of that, you've got my name. Is that a sign telling me I should go in the pub? So this is Doughty Mews, and look what we have in this inconspicuous street. The Egypt Exploration Society. Founded in 1882. So this would have been in existence when all those amazing discoveries were made at the pyramids of Giza, the tomb of Tutankhamun, all that stuff, all that Indiana Jones stuff. The Mummy and all that business, the Brendan Fraser character, Indiana Jones, they'd have been hanging out here in Doughty Mews at the Egypt Exploration Society. Again, look, another deserted London street. There's all sorts of interesting theories about the alignment of the pyramids at Giza in Egypt and various star constellations. There's a bit of disagreement. I think some people say Orion. They match the alignment of the belt of Orion, and I think that's Graham Hancock and Robert Bouval. Andrew Collins believes that the pyramid complex at Giza is aligned with the constellation of Cygnus, I believe. It's interesting stuff, worth looking into if you're into that. So at the bottom of that street you start descending into the River Fleet and Black Mary's Hole and a land of myth and legend, but I think I'll save that for another night. So after all that, I managed to walk straight past the Dickens Museum. It's down that street there. The writer Arthur Machen, or Arthur Machen, some people call him, he lived down here somewhere. We had chambers here. It's Gray's Inn Road. I can't remember the number. I think it's close to where we are now. Machen wrote The London Adventure, The Great God Pan. He's considered to be, I suppose he's maybe an occultist of some description. Yeah, certainly a bit of a mystic. I always think of Machen when I walk down Gray's Inn Road. Machen was into ghosts and ghost stories, the mystical and the supernatural in the city. If you live down here, you can see it, can't you? It's very rich in it and redolent with all sorts of spirits and atmospheres. Look, Verulam Street over here.